So the king of all upper body exercises is the bench press. The bench press is used in athletics, it's used in normal gym goers, it's used almost everywhere. So today we're going to show you the fine-tuned tips on how to develop a massive bench. So the bench press is a very tricky exercise. It involves a lot of small muscle groups and it involves a lot of patience for a lot of people. Give you an example. When I was 19 to 20 years old, I was already benching 500 pounds, and it took a year and a half for my bench to go to 525. And the reason that that happened was because I thought that the bench press was a pec exercise like everybody else. But what you start to find is that the bench press becomes an arm exercise. There's even some new data out to support this. But enough of that. The real key is that making sure your technique is optimal and making sure your joint position is optimal. And that's where a narrower position over time is going to be your best friend. A narrow grip is going to allow you to get more volume in because it's going to put more pressure on the elbow. For most of us, the elbow is going to be a lot less troublesome than the shoulder. And that's exactly the case of why you want your arms in a little bit closer when you bench press. That way you keep the pressure on the elbow and take it a little bit of it off the shoulder. Do not think of the bench press as a pec exercise, or it will cause problems down the road. So how do we make this exercise an arm dominant exercise? Well, here I'm going to show you real fast. The first thing that you got to realize is that where do your hands go? For most of us, simplicity says that we go out really wide and we shorten our stroke. But as you can see, my bones are in not real good angles to do so. So with that being said, we need to find a good position that keeps all of our arms and our elbows and everything in a good place. For me, when I bench 6'11", my fingertips were right where the knurling started. So my fingertips are right here, right at the end. My thumb extended as far as it can go. That's where my hands go. Now, as you can see, when I take it out, everything looks like a big piston going straight up and down, and that's exactly what you want. Where most people mess up at this point is they're letting the bar sit in their hand versus squeeze it. You actually want to make your forearms sore after a bench press. We just talked about this in another video with grip strength. You need to squeeze the bar as tight as you can, and then the first thing that you want to do is bend the elbow to take it down, not flare. So what I'm going to do is I'm thinking of it as like a tricep extension. I'm actually bending the elbow versus doing any kind of weird stuff with my shoulder. Once I've got that part down, the next part is I'm going to make sure that my sternum stays as high as possible. So if we look, my back unlocked, the bar is this high off my chest. This is your average person at your local gym. But if I learn to pull my shoulder blades together, it's going to do a couple of things. But one that you can really see is it's going to shorten the range of motion. So this is normal, this is pinched. We just took 3 inches off the bench press. Now, the other thing that that does is it only allows me to bend my arms. If my shoulder blades are touching together at the back, the only thing that can move is my elbow. If my shoulders are loose and unlocked, it can allow me to drift and do all kinds of weird stuff on the way down because my shoulder blades are not locked. So with my shoulder blades being locked and my hands being pinched, the only thing that can bend is the elbow. And that's a good thing. So when I've got my hand position straight, which for most people is going to be the end of the thumb on the knurling, okay? That's going to be a good position for most people. What I'm going to think of is squeezing the bar, taking the bar out without unlocking my shoulder blades, keeping them back and almost rowing it out. The next thing is to make sure that the bar is not over the eyes when starting, but more over where you want to touch. So this is exactly where I want to go, straight down and straight up. And that's where I'm going to put the bar. So don't have the bar over your eyes, have them back here. And if your shoulder blades are pinched, it's going to force the bar to be in the right spot anyway. So once this is here, the only thing I'm thinking of is to bend the elbow. Now as my elbows bend and the weights get closer and closer to my chest, I'm actually going to flare up. I'm not going to crush down. I'm going to stay as tall as I can without lifting my butt off the bench. What that's going to do, it's going to allow me to press in a straight line with a lot of power, okay? The big thing is if you were to grab my lats or my upper back right now, you would feel that they were completely flexed and that the only thing I was able to bend is the elbow. Like I said before, that's a good thing, and that forces the bar to only go one way, which is straight down and straight up. All right, the next big thing is that you need to have leg drive. And most of us, when we bench press, all we're thinking about is upper body. And that's mostly true. But 10 or 15% of your power, even in the bench press, comes from your leg drive. So what you want to do is, whether your federation allows you to be on your toes, like I bench, or flat-footed, which are some federations, it still holds true and exactly the same. You're trying to drive your feet into the ground and spread. If I spread my legs and push, now my body is locked into a good position. This does a couple of things. Not only does it make me stronger pressing up here, but it also keeps me from drifting. If my legs are really locked and push into the ground, I can't tilt and move different ways. And as we talked, the bench press is a small muscle group exercise. So any form of stability that you can increase is going to enhance your power output dramatically. So make sure that your leg drive is pushed into the ground and you spread your knees apart. That way you have a solid, stable base to push big weights with small muscles. I think that's a badass fucking video there.